Hi there. My name is Denise Eckert, and I'm from Balance Me Coaching. And I love coming on here and sharing different ideas and practices to help you reduce the stress in your life. And today I've got a special guest. It's Suset Laboy, and she's an empowerment coach and the founder of A Little Awareness. So she works with ambitious women whose enthusiasm has led them to success, but also burnout. And she helps them quit the hustle mindset, that busy mindset, and bring ease into their lives one small step at a time. So welcome, Suset.
Oh, thank you, Denise. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So if you can let us know what got you to where you are right now and helping women get rid of that busy cult mindset.
Yeah, so well, I'm a type A, or I like to call myself a recovering type A. And I got to the work that I do through my own personal experience with burnout and really being beholden to the cult of busy and of hustling. I grew up in Puerto Rico, which is an island in the Caribbean. And I grew up in a context that taught me that work was the right way to live. And not only work, but working hard and working many exhaustive hours. That was the way to success. That was a pathway to success. That was what was good. And that rest was bad. You should not rest. And it's funny, I was just thinking when I was 10 years old, I had my first experience with being where I was really present to being in an environment that valued your how much you produce, because it was a summer and my mom turned to me. We were driving and she said, "No, it's the summer and you're 10 years old. You cannot rest. We have to find you a job." At 10. And I said, "Okay, well," and I started working at the age of 10. And I have to say that growing up in that environment, but also in the collective mentality that we can trace back to the Industrial Revolution that glorifies busy over rest and ease, um, so really helped me. It really helped me get and push me to get to where I am today. I studied at Yale University. I hold a PhD in the social sciences. So it really drove me and served me at a particular moment in time. Back in 2017, however, I was diagnosed with a tumor a month before my wedding, as Hurricane Maria was a really bad hurricane that impacted my island. So we had to shift our attention from wedding planning to dealing with my personal issue of this tumor. I call him Barney. He's right here. It's all good. It's a benign tumor as long as it doesn't grow. And also helping my family and friends on the island who were in an even more drier condition than I was because of the hurricane that had just hit the island. In that moment, I had to develop tools to find ease and surrender, because frankly, my sanity and my ability to cope with everything that I was living through depended on it, depending on new tools, depended on not being not working 24/7, which I was doing still. I was working in my own company at the time. And so really, I started developing tools for myself. And that got me really interested in developing tools for others and sharing with others that the way that we have taught, the way that we have been taught, the way that we are going is not sustainable, not only at an individual level, but I think if anything we've learned from the pandemic is that it's not sustainable at a collective level.
Yeah, I agree. And I was the same when I was in my early 20s. It was 24/7 working, and there was no time for rest. And I don't remember, even as a child too, was, if what was the old saying, idle hands,
Yes.
or the devil's
Yes.
playground or something.
The idle hands, yes. What a terrible saying. That saying, let's ban that saying.
Yeah, exactly. So now, how do you help women make that change, or what do you recommend women to do if they have that mindset of busy equals success, where you and I know being that busy does not equal success. Being that busy equals burnout, actually.
It equals burnout, it equals exhaustion, and it equals not being able to do. Because when you are exhausted, you you think that it's the opposite, right? But when you're in exhaustion, you don't really produce in the way that you're meant to produce. And I always think this is maybe a funny analogy, but I always think of like lions in the animal kingdom. They sleep most of the time and until they have to pounce. And when they pounce, they're very efficient and effective about it. They're really good about going after their prey, and then they go back to sleep. The male lions sleep more than the female lions, but they all sleep at an average of like what, 16 to 20 hours a day. They're incredibly efficient animals. And so what I teach women, first of all, is that, and I want to take it aside and say that there is not one specific formula to help you through a past burnout, to help you pass the cult of busy. The reason being is that we do live we have collective agreements, right? Like we can talk about the culture of busy and the culture of overwhelm and overwork. That's one. But then everything that we like, the way that our brain processes experiences is very different from one person to the other. So I go through a process with the women that I teach of developing awareness, developing presence, and then taking actions that I like to call sustained actions versus consistent actions. I think there's a difference to create lasting change. What that looks like for each woman is different. The methodology of connecting mind and body, so doing mind shift work and also doing body work, connecting to presence. I have training as in yoga as well. So connecting mind and body is really important to me. It's a framework, but what the content, the substance of it differs by person to person.
Now, what advice can you give women on here that are living that crazy hustle mindset?
Stop.
Yeah. Take a break.
Take a break. No, because that's easier said than done. Mm-hmm. And so the first advice I will give to women, and this is why for me it's really important to first and foremost work on uncovering the personal narratives and stories that fuel your urge to be productive just for the sake of being productive. Oftentimes, like I shared with my story, it is based on our experiences, our own personal experiences, right? My mom told me that I had to work starting at 10 years old, and that collided with the stories that I was taught in school and my environment and what I see in media. And even I have twins now. I just have 10-month-old twins. I just had babies. And when I read storybooks for them, you can see the little truck who worked until very late at night. And now he gets to rest after working 24 hours. And he gets to take like a 1-hour break before he goes back to work the next day, right? So you see it everywhere. So the advice is to really first be present and recognize what are the patterns that you have. And a way to do that, a good way to access that is with the things that you feel like you should be. I should be working. I should be, the should. It's whenever you feel like it's a should, that's one way to access that. And there's other tools, right, to access what your stories are, your limiting beliefs around work are. But the first thing to consider is what are those stories, and develop awareness about them, but also develop awareness about them with compassion. Because something that comes often up for, like, I was just leading a workshop for mothers and also with my clients one-on-one, is that they feel shame around the stories, right? Or feel shame and guilt about like, oh, well, I feel bad for how I'm feeling. Well, that doesn't get you anywhere. Just develop awareness about them, because otherwise you're just going to be swimming in a pool of guilt and shame over the way that you're doing things. So my first advice is like, yes, stop. But what does that look like? Stop and be ready for shame to come up. Be ready for guilt to come up. Be ready for whatever sensations and feelings that are, like a sense of lack of worth to come up. And then from that place of like awareness and understanding that that's going to happen, act with compassion and love to slowly, like baby steps, tease out and dismantle the thoughts and the ideas and replace them with ideas that are beneficial for you. Because one thing that I want to make very clear is that being productive and doing inherently are not bad things. They're not things. I mean, it's good. It leads to creativity. It leads you to host this podcast, to do the work that you do, right? So being fueled to act is not a bad thing. The question is this serving me or not? Is the way that I'm going about being busy serving me or not? Does it feel contractive? Does it feel expansive? So with awareness and compassion, start taking actions that feel more expansive than contractive.
And another thing too, I know when I go into that mindset, my mind makes up stories, like I can almost, like, if I know I need a break and I feel guilt and I feel shame, I can almost make myself sick. Oh, well, I'm going to take a break or a nap because I have a headache, not because I need a nap or a break. You make up these excuses. So you're just sabotaging yourself completely.
So true. And and it's funny because I keep hearing this new message that's coming up in the wellness world and in circles that are thankfully, and I'm grateful, are starting to take notice and advocating for a different way of doing things. This message that I keep hearing is like, do less so you can do more. And you're like, well, I'm going to make myself sick so I can take a break, because the underlying thought may be that the only way I can take a break first is if I'm sick. That's the only way I can take a break. And second, I need to take a break so I can get better and keep doing things. And for me, the next level of that is like, how about what will it look like? And I don't know, this is the world you and I, we can envision together, we can create together as a collective, right? What would it look like if we just rested for the sake of resting and rested for the sake of just being, because we know that that's like what our body needs, like biologically, that's what our brain needs, that's what brings longevity and sustainability. Like I survive and I'm able to thrive in life because I allow myself to rest. Because otherwise, like you're saying, I used to suffer from migraines consistently, and I call Barney, like, Barney's not a blessing, but what came from Barney, my tumor, was a blessing, right? Because I'm consistently aware that my body and I function because I allow myself to take a break and to rest. And I don't do it to work more, and I don't do it to do more, and I don't do it to produce more. I just do it to live, to survive.
Now, I hear a lot of clients of mine or people I talk to, the biggest thing, when you do say slow down or take a break, the one thing I hear all the time is, I don't have the time. Is there any tips and, techniques that you can give us where we can fit in, or create our lifestyle so that breaks are easy to take?
Mm-hmm. The most practical thing that I recommend, and this may sound really simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest to implement, like the baby steps. People want sweeping change immediately. Like they just want you to like wave a magic wand and be like, you're cured. You're no longer part of the cult of, busy. Bye. That's not how it works. So the simplest thing that I like to recommend is to sit down, and I've done this exercise, and it's surprising how time comes out of nowhere, and write down all the things, go through one day and write down all the things that you do through one day, all of them, from like the morning until you go to sleep, and jot down how much time you're spending like on certain tasks. Like let's say like waking up and taking a shower and feeding my children, and then I like open my email. Just jot everything down. How much time do you spend on these tasks? And then revisit that list and ask yourself, can I shave some time off here? And to be honest, I haven't spoken to anyone where we are being really honest with ourselves and basically taking a scalpel to our schedule that we can't even take out 5 minutes to just sit I mean, like there's evidence or research shows that like meditating between 11 to 20 minutes a day, that begins to bring change. Like it starts changing your brain, right? Like there's evidence to that. That's all you need. Carve out from some place. I'm a perfect example. I'm a new mom. I'm a new mom with a business, a husband, two dogs, parents. Like I have a lot of responsibilities, but I make a priority carving out time for sitting down. It doesn't even have to be meditation. Sometimes it can look like just staring at the wall and being in a space of awareness, not just mindfulness, not just going into this trance, which is like kind of meditation, but there's many layers and many gradients that to before I'm like in some transcendental stage, right? So I make a conscious choice of that. The other day I wanted to bring more reading into, I'm a perfect example again, I use myself as an example a lot. I wanted to bring reading into my daily life, like read more fiction that's not work related, because I used to love reading fiction as a child, and that's a good access also to what kinds of activities you should be, not should be, but that gives you access to like the kind of activities that may bring ease are the things that you love to do as a child. I loved reading fiction. I could spend hours in the bathtub. That was my thing. I will get in the bathtub and I will just read. Whether the bathtub was filled up or not, I will just read novels. And so I did that exercise. I got really honest with myself and I started going down the list of things I was doing in a day, the amount of time I was spending on social media, the amount of time I was spending checking emails, the amount of time I was spending maybe worrying, because worrying and thinking through things also takes up space. That's why I advocate being in the now and in presence and being very intentional about like how you operate your mind and allow your thoughts to roam. And now I'm reading 30 minutes a day every day. I didn't think I was possible a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, but I had to get really honest with how I spend my time. Where could I shave off time? And beyond that, how much time do I really want to be dedicating to the things that are not serving me? Social media is an example. Do I really want to spend 2 hours on it? Or would I rather spend 50 more minutes sleeping because I'm a new mom and I need to rest? That was a really long answer.
No, that's great. And I can really relate with what you're saying because I did the same. I was always reading workbooks and, manuals, and I just started reading my fiction as well. And it is great. Like it is, I mean, I think it was one Sunday afternoon. I just took a couple hours and I just read, and it's just so relaxing. It really is.
Oh, how did it feel? How does it feel?
You know what? I'm still doing it. Now I'm on like Reese Witherspoon's book club, and I'm now on the library site and, getting my books in because I don't like buying them because I tend to collect too many.
A problem? Who said that's a problem?
Oh, it's a problem. Yeah, Denise's library.
You can loan them out to people.
Yeah. Exactly. So I love those ideas. I mean, it's just the simple things really. And we don't realize that we make our stress relief so complicated, and then we don't end up doing it.
And it can become as overwhelming. I mean, I sometimes say people can get burnt out from trying to end their stress and release stress, and it becomes another work. And again, because we're not tackling the stories around doing that we have, meditating becomes a chore, or reading. Like one of the things that I used to do was like time myself. How much time am I spending reading? Because I have that's a relaxing time. Well, I was adding stress to my day, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna stop timing myself, and now I read more than I used to, because I've become, and this is what I advocate for my clients, really intentional about getting into my body and feeling my way through, like, how does this feel right now? What wants to happen right now? Do I want to be taking a nap? Do I want to be reading? Do I want to be working? Because oftentimes you'll find out that the joy of work comes back. Human beings are also not built to just lounge around the beach for like days on end, like just like chilling and like relaxing. I have to say I tried it. I did it this past summer, and by the end of it, I was like going crazy. I needed to go back to doing things. We are meant to create. We're meant to do. We're meant to like produce. That is what we're meant to be doing. How are we doing it?
Yeah.
Are we doing it in a way that serves us or not? That's super simple, but super hard to get.
I love that. So we're going to wrap it up because I like doing sort of the shorter podcasts.
I love that.
So are there any final tips that you can offer the women here?
The big thing that keeps coming up for me is compassion. Wherever you are right now, and this is not a practical tip, it's more of a like, I want you to know that wherever you are right now, it's perfect. Whether it is exhausted, tired of working, whether it is amazing and feeling like a badass at what you're doing, like it's perfect. And if there are things in life that are not working for you, if you're seeking transformation, if you're seeking to change some things, go about it with compassion and understanding that there's no doing. You are miraculously miraculous because you exist. Like becoming a mother has made me very present to that. The chances of me having children, the chances of me being on this earth, of existing, are minuscule. It's like one in I don't know how many billions, right? So just being here now makes you important and worthy, and act and take actions from that knowledge, from that space.
Wow. Okay. Now, how can people get in touch with you?
So I'm everywhere as a little awareness, because that's all you need, a little awareness. So you can connect with me via social, Instagram, Facebook, and my website is a little awareness. Yeah, and that's how you can connect with me.
You know what? Even just talking to you, it's giving ourselves the okay to slow down. It's okay to, take a break, and giving ourselves that permission, because I know I grew up the same as you. Like, I think I started work at 10 years old. I think for me, it was more, I liked the money so I could buy the things. But no, in our household, there was no relaxation. There was no slowing down.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just not a nice way to live. It really isn't.
It catches up with you very quickly. And I want to acknowledge you also for the work that you're doing, and for bringing together women and just people who can speak to this, and really together, like slowly we transform the our understanding, and like we just spread the word. So hopefully we shift the paradigm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for being a guest here.
of course. It's a
I just feel
pleasure.
so much better.
Pleasure.
Just a final note, if you're struggling with burnout or chronic stress, I have free resources such as a podcast, Facebook support group, my blog. To get these free resources, please visit my website at www.balance-me.ca. Now, this is Denise Eckert signing off, and contact me if you're looking to create a happier, more balanced lifestyle today.